Hey, dude, man, play this shit right here, man. Play this.
Hey bros, this is Dre, and as always, welcome to my YouTube channel. So I didn't think that I would be coming back to this topic so soon, but I had to do a video response to Lauren Chen's video discussing Black as Fuck and her views on the outrage the show has received. To give a bit of background, I subscribed to her channel years ago when she was roaming Millennium, and to be totally honest, I liked her videos. They helped me to really form a moderate political philosophy and question the reasons why I remain so loyal to the Democratic Party despite getting nothing in return for my vote. But lately with her channel, I've noticed that she doesn't mind taking on topics and giving her opinion about things with no real knowledge about what she's talking about, namely colorism and why Black people are upset about mixed or racially ambiguous people speaking for and representing Black ideas. Let's just dive into it.
Did watch several episodes of the show, and I actually incidentally plan on finishing it. It's not that bad.
Oh no.
It's not that bad. You would not like it.
I'm like just having to go through those clips is suffering for me.
It's not. It's kind of funny.
I was looking down. That's a 30-second clip that we just played, less.
Yes.
And I was watching the time go by as I was watching the clip. It's so cringeworthy.
It's definitely woke. It is absolutely a woke show, but the thing is, and what you can kind of see from this trailer, is that it also parodies wokeness, right? So it acknowledges racism, it tries to get serious sometimes and talk about racial issues, but it also does things like parody how Black people react to the racism, and I think it's kind of funny.
And this is the first issue that Black people have with our ideas being represented by racially ambiguous people. Contrary to popular belief, Black people don't sit around all day looking for things to be offended by. We are just as tired as anyone else seeing Blackness or Black ideas constantly tied to wokeness or race halfway represented in a crappy Netflix special or TV show. But we're always having to discuss race because people are always trying to tell us that race doesn't matter despite our experiences. Now, any rational person understands that the world doesn't rise or set on any one individual or group's particular experience. However, any rational person should understand that nobody's going to be okay with their views being parodied and their stories being represented as a particular racial experience when they're being represented by those who don't resemble the people or the culture. Which brings me to my next point.
I think it's funny. I'm not saying it's for everyone, but I really didn't understand the outrage watching it, and actually the first time I even heard that people were upset about this show, it was when I saw people complaining that Rashida Jones, who is the biracial woman who plays the biracial character based on this real life biracial woman, people were saying that she, I guess, isn't Black enough. And if you're familiar with the actress, she played Karen Filippelli on The Office and Perkins in Parks and Rec, and she's actually, her dad is Quincy Jones, a Black man. She is biracial, like, you know, she's Black.
Quincy Jones is not Black. In fact, let me be really clear about this. Anyone who has identified themselves as biracial is not Black. In my last video, I showed you guys how Quincy Jones was so white that he could trace his lineage to white men that served in the Confederacy. And the only way most people are able to do that is if they have considerable white DNA. There have been cases where a few Black people were able to discover Black Confederates in their lineage who were forced to fight for the Confederates. But very little qualify to be sons of Confederates on the basis of the small amount of white DNA that any given Black person may have. Quincy Jones is a mulatto. His mother was a mulatto. His dad was a mulatto. It doesn't make him or his children Black for having Black genes any more than it makes a Mexican white or Native American for having white and Native American DNA. We literally have an entire group of people that represent this concept. If you haven't seen the video I posted on Mestizos, you need to check that out right now. They are mixed race people who built their culture around being mixed race people. Mexicans don't see themselves as white or Native American because they are neither that can be easily labeled in such a definitive way. But there seems to be a problem when black people make those distinctions to negate the racist one-drop rule that Lauren Chen is unknowingly perpetuating by referring to Quincy Jones as black. She is very unaware of the fact that at one point, mixed people weren't allowed to explore or question the origins of who they are. They were just told they had to be black because they weren't white. But I just have this funny feeling that if it were a show called White as Fuck with these same people representing the white experience, you definitely get the same backlash. And it would still be valid because none of these people are white any more than they're black.
Twitter, though, and Twitter activists were not as convinced. We have this post here. Rashida Jones has played a white woman her entire career and now is starring in a show called BlackAF. Okay, whatever y'all say. I don't think she's played a white woman her whole career, though. I mean, it's like Karen Phillips, like, you don't know what these characters' racial backgrounds are. Like, how would she be playing a black character in these people's like?
She has to do all the stereotypes, Lauren.
Yeah, she has to. People just need to ask her about her blackness. She needs to bring it up a lot. Otherwise, you're not actually black. And sometimes
she needs to speak, in the colloquial, stereotypical manner.
It's just
drugs. That's what it is. It's just drugs. If you don't think a person who damn near looks white is playing a white role among a cast of actors who are mostly white. I mean, the level of gaslighting here is so astounding to me. To form your lips and say that the majority of shows that she'd been in primarily marketed to white Americans do not clearly display her ethnic and racial background really shows how much she is trying to stretch this concept of racial ambiguity being acceptable as a representation for other ethnic and racial groups. Probably because Lauren Chen is also biracial. So she has a dog in this fight, whether she admits it or not. These aren't the type of arguments that unambiguous white people, black people, or Asians make because we know that it makes no sense. Nobody is okay with their experience, ideas, and culture being represented by people who do not resemble them. And don't even get me started on the blatant assumption that nobody thinks Rashida Jones is black because she doesn't embody black stereotypes. Rashida isn't black because she simply does not resemble a black person. Where is your reference here? Who in your circle is telling you that black people identify blackness by stereotypes?
I mean, I get stuff like this as well, being like half Chinese, and that's why this story kind of resonated with me, because I'm like, back off, like, don't gatekeep her actual ethnicity.
No, we are not going to stop gatekeeping. You see, once people start getting to the root of this discussion, they'll see that this isn't mostly a black concern. Many people are concerned with mixed or racially ambiguous people low-key trying to force them to accept them as something they are not. And the reason they get this pushback is because most mixed or racially ambiguous people are unaware of their history and why it's so important for those who have common phenotypical features to define who they are. They are oblivious to people and cultures that have been destroyed from racial caste systems and harmful ideas born from these racial caste systems, which we see among every group of people whose ancestors had to, by force, breed with a dominant society, whilst that dominant society gave the children of these people more rights over those who are marginalized due to their close proximity to whiteness, while at the same time denying them privileges for not being exactly white.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
This person says, you were too light for black people, too dark for white people. You were called Oreo for liking anime, and Barry Manilow, we get it. How many times are we going to get these storylines about the light skin struggle that lack the nuance of them still being held in higher society? So here's this person who's just upset about like another light skin black story.
They're higher on the societal totem pole to these people, and therefore we can be
don't let them
racially
forget it.
oppressing you.
Yeah, and it's
is what it seems to be. Like there's a whole term for these types of people. Yeah, there's colorism. I think that in Black culture they call these people red-boned. I'm pretty sure. And yeah, there's definitely a thing between people that are very melanated, very dark, and like someone who's less dark. They feel like they're more privileged, and there's definitely an animosity there.
There's a resentment, and it's frustrating because, I mean, here's this actress who's, I mean, literally just playing a role that represents her actual background, and she's getting dragged for it. It's like
literally, it's literally exactly the demographic for that role.
Right, exactly.
Right.
She's half
what
black.
they always argue for, you need a gay person to play a gay person.
Accurate representation.
Accurate representation. It's exactly what they would want there. I think they just seem to be mad in this case that these people exist.
Where do I begin with this? So they're vaguely saying you hate them because you ain't them, by making the claim that we, these people, think that mixed or ambiguous people are higher on the societal totem pole. As if it were us who created this discussion that's been ongoing since 1918 and before that. As if it were us who created the one drop rule. We don't have to accept mixed or racially ambiguous people representing us. That's just the bottom line.
This person says, so before I cave and watch BlackAF, can we talk about the lack of dark-skinned mamas in sitcoms? To China Arnold and Cheryl Lee Ralph, I'm just so cultured, are the only dark women to survive a tenor of their show. Maybe colorism wouldn't be so prevalent if we didn't only praise Euro features and normalized it. I think that, again, this is kind of unfair. This character is based on an actual person who's actually his wife, so I don't know what they want.
Need I say more here? I mean, at this point, I'm beating a dead horse. They've admitted that Rashida Jones is representing herself as a mixed or racially ambiguous person, which is cool. But they don't see the irony in the show literally being called black as fuck. And this is why we gatekeep, and why we will continue to gatekeep, as she has acknowledged that a mixed or racially ambiguous person is the same and has the same experiences as someone who is really black as fuck. And when I say black as fuck, I'm not referring to black as a culture or some dumbass movement. I'm talking about people not afforded dual experiences on the account of so-called being a black person that looks white. I'm not going to spend any more time breaking down more of the video. Things just get progressively worse after the 7-minute mark. Keep in mind, I'm not encouraging people to harass her or say nasty things about her. But if you agree with my analysis, please speak up about it. Because people like this have no problem speaking up about their desire or lack of care about the media facilitating your erasure. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel.